imagine someone's son strikes your son, and then that parent comes over. Instead of discussing the eating your peach cobbler while on the phone. I'd be pissed too, bro. I'm not gonna lie. That's what I was saying. I'd be pissed too. I'm like, you know what? I thought I was gonna make like a what is that animal that guy killed? That daughter's pet?
A hamster?
Hamster. I thought I was gonna make a hamster noise, but then I realized I have no idea what.
I was supposed to say, do you know what a hamster noise even sounds like?
Hello, I'm a hamster. I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Chili Piggins podcast. I am Jobadiah Tannhouse, and as always with me.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pison the Seventh here. How are we doing today?
Today we are recovering from the cold. Dum dum dum. It's been a crazy week, but I'm a strong man.
We live, we push through, we don't die.
Yes. If we die, we walk it off.
If we die, we die. We just get up the next morning.
You know? A little death has never hurt anyone.
Never hurt nobody.
Today, we are speaking about one of my favorite movies. I like this film. I like this movie so much.
I actually love this film. I like the whole concept of it as well.
Yes. A friend of mine recommended this. Remember Debza back in varsity? Yeah. He recommended this movie and I watched it and I was like, this is amazing. And I watched it again this year. And I wanted to read the screenplay for it. It's so good. In case you didn't see the title, I don't know how you clicked on the video. You weirdo. Ooh, boss. We are talking about Carnage from 2011. I am glad when I said we must try to talk about Carnage. I'm glad that you asked. Because your goofy ass would have watched the freaking Venom movie. And I was like, you know what? I'm glad he asked before he starts coming up like Woody Harrelson was kind of fire in the movie.
This time I had to make sure because I'm like, I don't want to get this wrong. So I typed in Carnage because I've never seen this movie before. So I typed in Carnage and I'm like, it auto-corrected to Venom. And I'm like,
Google.
Yeah. It auto-corrected to like Venom, Let There Be... Is it Let There Be Carnage? I don't know what the full title is.
I think it's Let There Be Carnage.
Yeah, Google thought that's the film I was talking about. So I'm like, is this... I don't think this is the... I mean, I don't know if you liked it, but I watched it. It wasn't like worth talking about. So I'm like, that's why I was like, let me just make sure. Oh, we're on the same page here.
Oh, yeah. Because if you type Carnage, it doesn't pop up unless you specify 2011.
Yeah, you had to specify, like, this is the one you're talking about.
Yes.
Fire script. And I was watching it and thinking to myself, this would make a fire play. Only to find out that it was actually based on a play called God of Carnage. Yeah. And I'm like, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Which is it's always awesome when you see how theater and film not only influence each other, but they're sort of like cousins in a way. Mm-hmm. And you can be like, oh, I can see why you related to that guy and you guys have things. But also how theater translates to film.
Yeah.
In a beautiful way. And turning it to something. Because if it's theater, you can imagine it's only on stage. There's no close-up cutaways, inserts, edits, nothing like that. Where else in film you can have that? But as you're saying, even though it's a movie, it does have that element of theater in it. Because it's mainly written for the stage. So it's kind of awesome to see an element of theater in film. I always love that. Same with Fences. It just feels like a play.
Yeah. It gives it, I don't know, it gives it that authenticity in a way.
Yes. It's like
And I
a
think-
different dimension.
Yeah, one thing I like about stuff like that is that it relies on the characters. And not necessarily relies, I want to say leans in on the characters a lot more, because you don't have any gimmicks to help
Yeah.
to like boost this. You don't have like a cool car scene. You don't have Michael Bay's Transformer explosions. We're just talking about it's the characters. The characters are what
Yes.
we're relying on.
Characters, and with the characters, I would say also, because it relies on the characters, subsequently it's carried by the actors.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, because the performances in this movie are so good.
Dude, the
Where-
performances
where-
make the movie.
Yes, where nothing else, as you're saying, there's no gimmicks. Even the music is very minimal. It's like
Very minimal. Yeah.
you know, yeah. It's not quote unquote cinematic.
Yeah.
It's just you're watching people and nothing else.
Quite honestly, yeah. You're watching people, and what I like about it, the characters are so different. You're not watching the same character like duplicated 4 times. You're watching
Yes.
different people with different views and like different ways of looking at the world clashing and like unraveling, and that's just like, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Very awesome.
Yeah. Real quick, what's the IMDb? What's that saying?
So, Carnage was released in 2011. In case you didn't know, not Let There Be Carnage, people. It was directed by Roman Polanski, based on a play by Yasmina Reza, as mentioned, called Liedu de Carnage, the God of Carnage. So the screenplay was written by Reza and Polanski, then directed by Polanski, starring Jodie Foster, John C. Reilly, Kate Winslet, and Christoph Waltz. So according to IMDb, it says here, 2 pairs of parents hold a cordial meeting after their sons are involved in a fight. Though, as their time together progresses, increasingly childish behavior throws the discussions into chaos.
Yeah.
Pretty
That
good
is very
description.
accurate. It's a very accurate description. Because, I mean...
Chaotic does he get?
Yeah. It was actually quite nice to see these like... It felt like a very layered performance. Because at first they were like so civil, so cordial. One might say a bit too civil. And then as it just went on, you just see it break down. And I like how sometimes we just focus on like the most randomest thing. And I forget about the conversation. But I think seeing these grown adults who have like this they start off with this, we handling this like civilized people, you know, no screaming, no shouting at each other, and it just goes downhill. Just down.
It was so but it felt like the parents weren't being nice because they are nice. It felt like everyone there was performing for the sake of just getting this over with.
Yes.
It's like is that fake nice, but also there are underlying tones of like hostility and some of them being very passive aggressive and all that. Like the first one of my favorite lines when it said Ethan strikes Zachary armed with a stick and Christoph says armed.
Armed?
And I'm like, yo, lady, you can't say armed.
You can't say armed with a stick.
Bruh.
No, because this shit when you
she's
say
like,
armed, like, wait, armed? What do you mean armed? And when you pointed it out, I was like,
bruh.
yes, no, you can't say armed. That's
then
actually
he's
one of the
like,
greatest lines. Yeah.
You don't like armed? Okay, we can change armed.
Holding a stick.
That's where it's like they show you that they are trying to be nice, but there are some hostilities that are gonna come out sooner or later.
I honestly like how everything was shot and directed, man. Because the writing here is very witty and like fast.
bruh. But also, it doesn't feel really like it's naturalistic dialogue that is slightly enhanced creatively, of course, but it also seems grounded enough. It's not like, for example, if you're to listen to a Tarantino film, very highly stylized dialogue. It's not very stylized, but as you're saying, it's very witty, but also it's very naturalistic, but in a very creative way.
Yeah, it's also very full of subtext.
Highly sprinkled with subtext all over.
Bro, it's a whole boatload of subtext. Bro. And I think it's the detail within the subtext, and then it's like at first they're all speaking on high ground with a little bit of subtext, and then as the deeper the conversation goes, they start looking into the subtext, and then it's actually pretty cool. It's very, very good writing.
One of my things is I like Christoph Waltz's character.
Yeah.
I actually like all the characters with all their shitty behaviors. But Ethan's mom, Jodie Foster, how can a person be so uptight? My God.
Bro, what? The Penelope Longstreet, bro. Because I think her character is very high moral, high ground, very passive aggressive. Very passive aggressive, like, I'm gonna take the high ground and I'm better than you type of mindset. And I'm like, bro, how?
Yeah, like she
doesn't see she's doing it.
Yes. In her mind, she's doing the right thing, but also because she's doing the right thing, the shitty things that she does don't matter. Where else,
don't matter.
Christoph Waltz's character, that guy is so laid back. He's like, bruh, things happen. Boys are boys. I'm not gonna pretend I'm a better person or better parent or better anything.
You know what? I think one of the lines that I like about him that he says after he takes the first phone call, and also the phone calls were just hilarious. The phone calls themselves were not hilarious, but the timing of the phone calls and him just like in the middle of a conversation, just no care in the world, no care, just take.
And it's usually the same tone. He'll be speaking and it's like, excuse me, 1 second. It's like, bro, it doesn't get irritated, nothing.
And then like after the first phone call, he come like they just there, just waiting for him to finish. And he's like literally, so this whole thing happens in this whole apartment. He goes and sits on like, I don't know what a drawer or whatever it is. He's just there, comfortable, taking the phone call by the drawer. Then he comes back and sits down and is like, I know I don't have manners. And then just continues with the conversation.
Bruh.
And I'm like,
zero cares.
What? He's like, I know I don't have manners. Anyways.
Also moments where he's in the phone call and he'll start giggling with the whatever manager or publicist that he's talking about. Everyone else behind him is fuming.
But he's just fuming like, dude, we're guests at this person's house.
Bruh.
And you're just gonna take a phone call. And but mind you, he's not like rushing the phone call to finish because he's got guests or like because he's a guest at someone else's house. He's literally at work. It's almost as if he was at his office, and these phone calls were coming while he's in the office.
Like
that's how he was treating them.
Like we came to his place, so we have to give him the time.
We have to wait until he's done with the call until we continue. While he's at someone else's house.
Man's insane.
Bruh.
And Michael, John C. Reilly's character, I also like him.
Yeah.
He's very dope. He's funny. People. Yes.
Yeah.
Low key, I feel like Michael and Nancy would be a good couple.
A better couple. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I did feel that at some point. But I do agree that Michael and Nancy might have made a decent or good couple, but Penelope and Alan would not.
Not even close.
Penelope and Alan are like so far apart that would have not worked out, not even a little bit.
And the craziest thing is, crazy thing is Penelope, with her moral high ground, she wants you to feel bad when she says something. Whereas Ellen, you can't piss that guy off. You can't. So the whole time, so the whole time, Penelope, I think there's also scenes and moments where she feels like he's not taking it seriously. I mean, everyone else thinks that.
And you could tell he's not taken seriously. Also, his line of work, I think you'd have to be like that type of dude, because I think one of his clients is like some pharmaceutical company, and the drugs that they were like selling or giving to the people had like some horrible side effects that make you appear that you're drunk.
Yeah.
And his first thing was to like deflect, don't tell the truth, don't do media, don't like, his whole thing is to deflect. And I think I like how all of their jobs sort of like hint back to their personalities. Because he being the lawyer of this big firm and like defending this somewhat, say, if you're an environmentalist person and you're like one with nature and one with the world, you'd see them as the evil people, the evil lawyers. That's who he is. He represents these big companies with this, who just like, who know about these things, but like, no, it's fine. And then they'll just sell these drugs to make money. Whereas Penelope, what is she? A book writer, but not exactly a book, but she is an author.
She once wrote a book that became successful, I think.
No, she didn't write a book. She wrote she co-wrote a chapter of a book.
Oh, a chapter.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because I remember at some point...
And also she collects some.
She collects some, and she works part-time at a bookstore.
Yes.
And I remember when the first time when the husband mentioned that you're an author, I was like, well, I co-wrote a chapter. And then when they were having like the private talks, like, why did you have to tell everybody I'm a writer? And I'm like, is she ashamed? What's going on here?
Bruh, you wrote. Yeah. It is that. I think it is that it's almost like she's bitter because she doesn't feel like that co-writing credit is worthy of anything.
Yeah, I think she probably wants people to mention it if she was an author of like several books, then, and she'd have a lot more leg to stand on, being I know what it is. It goes back to that moral high ground she has, and like being the better person, being better than everybody else. But in this situation, the fact that she co-wrote a thing, it feels like something that people could take a shot at, because she didn't write a full thing. She didn't write like a whole book or several books. She only co-wrote a book, so she's not as stable in this moral high ground that she's in.
Which is insane.
And
that sort of fuels her, obviously her personality and uptake in life.
Yeah.
But also like it starts to fuel how she sees the people and kids.
Babies.
Bruh.
Didn't you call the Nancy and Alan's kid like a terrorist at some point, or like a threat to Homeland Security?
Yes, and called him a criminal at some point.
I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah, bruh. There was a time. There's a scene where they're eating what's the dish that she makes? I forget. Huh?
I think they called it like a cobbler or something like that. I don't know.
Peach cobbler.
Cobbler, yeah.
And Ellen is like, it's nice to finally meet and sit down. And she's like, I wish it wasn't because my son lost. I'm like, lady,
well, that's
we not.
And every single moment she likes to bring that in,
bruh.
I'm like, are you serious?
Bruh.
Are you serious? And like, again, it goes back to like the use of her words. At first she was like armed with a stick, and then there was another point where she was like, does your son realize that he disfigured our son? I'm like,
bruh. And then Ellen is like, Ellen likes to highlight these small words, right? He likes like, hey, look, because I think it was what you were saying. Because Ellen is a lawyer, he pays attention to the detail and the type of language people use.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is like
disfigured.
I think there was also when they asked, do you guys know why they were fighting? And then they were like, Ethan wouldn't let Zed be part of a gang. And I was like, he has a gang? He's like, did you know? I was like, no, but I'm kind of proud of him. And he was like, how can you? I'm like, you can't be proud of the son. And the dude was like, come on, our boy is part of a gang. That's kind of dope.
Wasn't a gang. Bro, it's like the two separate reactions. He was like, hell yeah. She was like,
yeah.
What? Because I think in her more like, our son would never. Like, she's got that whole thing, like, their son should be, like, above these things.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, my son was in the gang.
If you're above things, you're gonna get disfigured. That's the lesson, kids.
No, but that conversation was so funny because he's like, your son called our son a snitch, and that's why he ended up hitting him. And then they were like, I like how they hawk on that term, like the whole thing of their son being called a snitch. And it was like, well, your son actually snitched. And they're like, well, no. And they were defending this.
Literally, he snitched.
Like,
That's
no,
the definition of
we
snitch,
coaxed it on him. He didn't actually snitch. I'm like, your son kind of snitched.
That's the definition of snitching, you know? Giving out the information.
Yes.
And then also I liked how they leave the apartment and then they're almost about to get in the left and then something draws them back in. And then they leave
like, twice, dude. The first time it happens, I'm like, just leave. Just leave. And then I like how they sort of like build anxiety because it kind of feels like, are they gonna leave? Because as a person, as a viewer watching this, you're like, just leave. Just leave. Don't let the situation blow over. Don't let it like become more than what it is. And I think they go out twice, right? Or twice or three times.
Yeah.
Every time it's like at a worse point than what it was before. I like how on like the last time they leave, like the one guy, the neighbor, sort of opens the door and they've got the dog and it's peeking out, and then like the lady just like just go back to me. Instead of like saying just go, he just brings them all back inside to like just have this conversation inside. And bro, none of them think, what are we doing here? They all just happily go back inside and like have this conversation again.
Everyone wants to leave, but at the same time, I think it's because everyone wants to leave after feeling like they won.
Yes.
And Penelope wouldn't let him leave because I think there's in the second time there's this word she uses where she's like, what does she say? I hope your son. What does she say, bruh? Like, not take responsibility, but is this what she uses?
Yeah.
And then
that was the second time. Yeah.
And then Ellen is like, oh, he's not gonna do that. And then
what's the word?
That's the word that Nancy uses. Not Nancy, Penelope.
Is it consequences?
No. But she also does say that, like, understand the consequences. But there's also something else that she says. I will find it.
It's also like bugging my mind now. But it's one of the things where I know Alan was like, he understands that it's wrong, but he doesn't understand whatever that other thing was.
Yeah. And now Penelope is fighting that. And this guy's like, yo, why are you fighting me for a little boy's not a grasp of... Like, it's almost like he doesn't understand why people... She doesn't understand why people don't understand the world the way she does.
She does, yeah. I think she's like, why are you guys not taking this seriously? And then Alan's like, why are you taking this too seriously?
Hey, bruh. And also, at some point, the husband does snap. It's like, you're blowing it out of proportion.
Yeah. That's like, I think that's like the third act where things just go downhill.
Yeah.
Dude, I think there's a point where Alan is like, our son's a maniac. He's not gonna understand that.
Like, Ellen knows, bruh.
Yeah. And Nance is like, don't call us a maniac.
Yes. There was also a point where they're like, maybe if your son were to see what he looks like, maybe he'll feel. Ellen is like, well, if you think that will help, but I don't think so.
And also, I like how this whole time Alan has just the same tone.
Bruh.
The same I don't give a shit tone to everything.
It feels like he's just vibing.
He's just vibing.
Also, you could see that he's there because the wife wanted to come here, Nancy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is 100% clear.
Yes, and Ellen is like, fine, let's just get it over with. Because everyone thought this was going to be quick and easy.
Which is why, and it's also like, this is like the one day where his one big client's getting, I guess, sued. So he's in work mode while doing all of this.
Yes. This is the least of his worries right now.
Yeah.
And they were willing to settle the medical bill.
Yeah.
Like this is what's crazy. That they were willing to settle the medical bill, but Penelope kept making shit harder than it was supposed to.
Dude. She would not stop.
But also we gotta talk about one of my favorite things, one of my favorite film conventions is movies that take place in single location. I was
literally about to say. I
love it so much. It's
single
so
locations,
good.
Bro.
Single location, one set of characters.
Yeah. Because then I think that's also what goes back to what we mentioned in the beginning. It's like, you're relying on, like, the story has to be great. The characters have to carry. And as such, the actors have to be actors that can carry this.
Yeah. And also it leaves, I wouldn't not necessarily leaves room, but it's limiting in a good way. It's like you don't gotta worry about a lot of things as a filmmaker, I feel. You don't gotta worry about a lot of things if you know that, this is my location, I just gotta capture this part. Nothing else. Maybe a few exterior shots.
Yeah, just to give context of where you are, but otherwise, this is where the story is.
And it doesn't feel as confined because I think of the layout of the apartment.
I think yes, because the apartment, the main room is quite big, so there's a lot of like movement, and then you've got these other like cabinets. You've got like the kitchen. It's not a cabinet, but like there's other rooms where other things happening. You've got the kitchen, the hallway, and the bathroom, and like because you've got these other like rooms where you can like within the still same location where you can like escape to and then come back to the main location. It makes everything feel fresh. It's not like a monotonous single take.
Yeah. And it breaks down sort of like moments of the like dramatic moments of the film. We have the kitchen, a little bit of the bathroom, the living room. Even in the living room,
there's sections.
The characters sit in different sections depending on how they feel emotionally, which is subtle directing, but it's very like if a character standing up or they sit at the corner right there. They're standing next to this character that they like, or this character that they hate, or they're opposing, or facing away, or facing each other. Because there are moments where, for example, Michael and Ellen would be on the same page about a particular topic, and then they'll be like, it's us, it's like men versus women. It would be Michael and his wife versus the other parents. Sometimes it would be Michael and Nancy versus the other two.
Yeah.
So it keeps the movie, the story feeling dynamic and constantly moving.
And dynamic. Yeah. No, I like that. I think it's also like some some very great like lines in this film. The story and the delivery of them is just beautiful.
Yes.
Also, bro, Alan's physical acting, very subtle but brilliant. Bro, the moment
Christoph Waltz.
Christoph Waltz is just a genius at this point. But like, I think it was the second time when they came back in, and then they were like, "You want some coffee? Let's get some coffee." And they gave him coffee and the cobbler. So they're sitting down, they're talking, and they eat the cobbler, and then he gets a call. At the first time when he got the call, I think the first few times he apologizes. Now he just gets up, takes the cobbler, and he's just on the call talking, and everybody's just looking at him, and without a care in the world, he's just talking, and then Nancy sort of like leans over and tries like awkwardly leans over to like we're waiting for you, and then he just looks over, like yeah, and then he ends the one call. Instead of going back down, he calls someone else to start a new phone call, puts the plate of like the cobbler on like some, I don't know what that furniture thing is, puts it there, leans, bro, he gets comfortable in their house.
And he's smiling.
Telling small jokes here and there, smiling, gets absolutely comfortable, ends that call, waits for another call and they're just there like, just waiting for this man. And I'm like, this is peak writing, and it just shows how little this man gives a fuck about the situation.
Zero. Even when bruh, why do my thoughts just suddenly leave my brain?
They were there and they're like, no, you don't deserve us. You don't need thoughts.
You know what? That's true. But what I will say is also, in reference to what you just described, low key, I get why Penelope was pissed. Imagine someone's son strikes your son, and then that parent comes over. Instead of discussing the eating your peach cobbler while on the phone call, I'd be pissed too, bro. I'm not gonna lie. That's what I was saying. I'd be pissed too. I'd be like, you know what? This thing, my grandma's recipe, it's been in the family for years, and you're supposed to be discussing, and they're just chewing on it, making phone calls in the corner. Hands everybody.
Bro, mind you, I mean, I get why she'd be pissed, but also the guy, they wanted to leave in the first 5 minutes. You're the one that's keeping them here. They'd be gone, dude. Like, every single time that phone call happens, I'm like, this guy. But it's always like, some of them happen like when the tension is rising, and then the phone just rings, and it's just, and you know he's gonna take it. You know he's gonna answer it. And like, at some point, you sort of wish, like, just maybe he's not gonna answer and continue the conversation. No. Just no.
Ellen is there, bro. I also like how at some point they share whiskey. Is it whiskey or scotch?
Yeah, one of the two.
And it almost feels like this is a fight, but at the same time they're both relating on like, we're married men. We see this every day.
Yeah. But wait. Before we get to the whole whiskey debacle, because that's I love how that whole, I want to break it down. It's probably like the third act. Is when the whiskey happened. Bro, we gotta talk about the whole cobbler thing and how she got sick and started throwing up on like the art collection.
Oh, poor Nancy.
When Nancy got sick.
Yeah.
Because I think when she was first even taking the cobbler, she didn't look like she wanted it, like, at all.
Yeah, she was being polite, which is again,
she was being polite, and
another thing that everyone does, the whole film, well, tries to do,
and I think she took like 1 or 2 bites, and then she was like feeling nauseous. They gave her, but also it's like these small little quips. When the guy, when they went to the kitchen the first time when they were offering the cobbler, he was looking for the cobbler everywhere, like so panicked. I'm like, why is this a thing? Because they're trying to be like, at first they're really trying to be nice. And then one guy's like, very nice couple. I'm like, yeah, very nice couple. And then he finds a cobbler in the fridge, and she's like, I don't know what to do with this woman. Why is it? It's like these minor things that they're upset about. I'm like, they're trying to show the other couple that they're nice, and they're like overdoing it. And the second time when she's like looking for the Coke, and then she finds it in like the cabinet, and then she gives her husband a look like, the Coke is not in the fridge. And then he's like, fuck, the Coke's not in the fridge. Like, it's got this whole thing where they're
gonna think,
them, they're gonna think not being cold.
Yeah, they're gonna think we are beneath or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, they're gonna feel judged. There's all these small things that happen. It's like they're just adding to the perfect little image that they're trying to create being teared down. And I think if she eventually threw up, mind you, the whole time when she's like, I'm feeling nauseous, everybody kept saying, shouldn't you go to the bathroom?
Bruh.
Everybody just like, shouldn't you be going to the bathroom?
It's not that far.
It's not that far. It's not. And she eventually throws up on the table. Like, she starts throwing up on the books. And then, disgustingly, she takes the bowl where the cobbler was. And I think, does she finish throwing up on the bowl? Or on a bucket? I think it was either...
They get the bucket.
Give it like a bucket at the end. Yeah. And that moment for me, I think, was a turning point. Because when she went to get like the cloth to clean up, there's like a moment to herself where she's like, stupid bitch.
Yes.
And like when she comes back, and I'm like, Penelope, is that you?
That's a side we haven't seen. Yeah.
Okay, Penelope, you on your higher ground calling people stupid bitches? This is you? Okay. And I think it's the one thing which is like she really ravels on like her artistic side and like she's been to Africa side, you know, these things. And now she just threw up on like her art collection. And I think that was like one of her turning points, where it was like less on the I'm gonna be nice side.
Also, one of my favorite lines, I don't know why it just makes me laugh, but when they just try to leave and then they coming back and Michael is like, what's wrong with you people? We've been lies to you. My wife dressed me like a liberal. We bought tulips. Oh, my brother kills me. Like, the tulips are such a big deal. How dare you disrespect us after buying tulips?
After buying tulips.
That shit makes me laugh every time I hear it, bro.
How dare. Bro, you know what else makes me laugh? I think it was before the bathroom scene or after the bathroom scene, when again he's on the call. And this time, the husband is like there, just wait. Alan's on the call, and then Michael Longstreet is there. And at the end of the call, he's like, pharmaceutical companies, huh? And then, mind you, he just had this phone call loud in his other person's house. So now Michael is commenting on it. And then Alan's like, I didn't tell you to listen in on my conversation. And I'm like, what the fuck? Bro.
You could have left. Went to the hallway.
You had the conversation in their living room. What do you mean you didn't tell them to listen in on the conversation? And then Michael finally responds like, well, you had the conversation in my house. And then Alan's like, well, yeah, well. And then at some point, Michael ends up saying, weird line of work you're in. And then that like triggers Alan in a way. It was like, what do you mean weird line of work? Like, what do you do? And then they have this conversation like, well, I sell pots and pans, like I told you, and sometimes flush mechanisms. And then Alan's like, ooh, that is interesting. And then
like, the passive aggression
mechanisms, bro. The passive aggression is top tier, and Michael doesn't flinch. He's like, well, you got the two kinds. You've got the push flush mechanisms and the handle flush mechanisms.
Bruh,
I'm like, why are these two grown men having a conversation about toilets?
Yeah. It's that thing. It's
like
it's almost like a standoff. Like, who's gonna back down first?
Yeah. And both Nancy and Penelope are looking at them like, are you guys seriously just talking about toilets now? Is this really the conversation you're having?
It's like, no, ma'am. Subtext, this is not about toilet. This is about...
It's not about toilets.
Who's manlier than who?
Yeah. It's just funny.
And also...
It's too grown-ass
And also, I like how say in the third act, Michael says the title, not the title of the film, but the title of the play, when it says Penelope, I believe in the God of Carnage. And in my head, I was like,
yeah.
I wish I could whistle like Leo. But he said the thing.
That was actually, that was nice. That was a nice line. Nice touch to it.
Which I think also sums up the obviously the theme of the play / movie, but also of Michael's outlook in life, where it's like, bro, not everything has to abide by your rules and principles. Some shit just happened, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. And Penelope is frightened by that. I mean, you can imagine someone who's trying to control things, to hear that, some forces are just here to wreak and challenge and destroy, and there's very little he can do about it. Michael embraces that. That's how he makes money of it, obviously.
Yeah.
And Penelope shouted.
There's a line that Penelope says that broke my heart.
Wow.
It was in the third act at the end. She says it to her husband Michael. Like after they've had their whiskey, or like I forgot what it is, whiskey or scotch or whatever, and she's broken down, and then she says something along the lines of, I'm married to a man who, I wish I could have the exact line, but something along the lines of, I'm married to a man who is content with mediocrity.
Ooh.
And I'm like, oh. That kind of stings.
Yeah.
That kind of stings.
And you can imagine, for Michael, nobody is that passionate about selling toilet mechanisms. So it's probably something that has bugged him for a while. And I would argue that at some point he's probably shared something about his dissatisfaction. And it's one of those things where my interpretation of it could be one of those things where someone knows, how am I gonna say this? Someone knows your deepest pains, and then in a fight use it against you. You know those things.
Yeah.
That's why Michael, even in that moment, doesn't respond with much.
He doesn't. Cause that hurts, man.
But that also one of the things that I wouldn't say pissed me off, but it's like, of course, when Michael is talking about the God of Carnage and telling a story about Africa and everything, and then Penelope is like, I know about the suffering in Africa. I'm like, bitch, shut up. Shut up.
When she said that,
and
I was like, are you serious?
She gets emotional after saying that. And I'm like,
I know this. I know about the suffering of Africa. I'm like,
I'm sure you do, living in your Manhattan apartment. Of course you do. Sure, lady.
Sure, you know about the suffering.
You're like, one of those, huh?
Bruh. Dude. Don't tell me about the suffering of Africa. I know about the sufferings of Africa. I'm like, are you serious?
And Michael is like,
are you serious?
Bruh, she's like, it's all I've been thinking about for months. And I'm like, so let me get this straight. You've been thinking about it for months, and that is equal to you know the suffering. Oh yeah, I've been thinking about it for months, so now I fully 100% understand and grasp to the extent the pain that these people have.
Yeah, and it's funny how the whole Africa topic is a topic that Penelope and Alan sort of like, even when she first brings it up with like her book, it's like, oh, you're interested in Africa, and it's like she words it in this like very high ground, liberal-minded way.
She's a savior of some sort.
And like when he brings it up, yes, and then when they bring it up again now, Alan is sort of coming in a way. It was like he was in what country was he in again?
I don't remember.
Uganda, maybe? I forgot the country he said he was in. Where he's seen kids at the age of like 8 grabbing like machetes and like guns and all these like violent weapons. So he's coming in at the mindset of like, listen, when I was there, this is what I saw. I saw the cynical, brutal landscape of like kids at a young age. This is like the violence that they're in. And she's like not for this. And that's when, after saying that, it's like you can't then be comparing what our son did to your son. They're wrong. You can't say it's like evil when like this is what's happening in the world.
Yeah.
And then she's like, don't tell me about Africa. I know about the sufferings of Africa. I'm like, come on. Just stop it.
Hey.
Get some.
Shut up.
She's too much sometimes. Penelope is too much. And like Michael, for the most part, he's just trying to be the peacekeeper at some point.
Yeah, he's trying to be a peacekeeper, but also very indifferent about whatever happens, unless something really bugs him.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, man, whatever you guys do want to do, just don't say armed, and we'll be good.
Bro, it's funny how like they've got their opinions, especially like after the vomiting. They've got their opinions of them. Like both couples don't like each other, and then when the vomit happens, and then the other two couples in the bathroom, the two couples cleaning up, and then they talking together. They funny shit like, they don't like each other. I don't like them. Blah blah. And it's like, oh, did you hear what they call him? Was it Strudel?
Who?
What's the pet name for each other? Alan and Nancy. What do they call each other? Doodle. Yeah. And they like, he's like, oh, you see how he calls her Doodle? Oh, and they start making fun of that. And then Alan just walks past like, yeah, I'll call her Doodle. And then do you see how defensive they got? Starting overcompensating, like, no, we just thought it's funny. What we call each other is even funnier. It's even more ridiculous. And like, bro, it's not that deep. Alan didn't even care.
Like, why are you making it a thing? It's not a thing.
Why? It's not a thing. They just keep making it a thing.
But that's the thing, bro. Everything here gets blown out of proportion. It's also like good commentary on how if people are not being direct and trying to circle around the issue, it just gets chaotic.
Yes. And more issues
instead of just...
Because, I mean...
This could have been an email. I'm sorry.
You know what? Yes. This could have been
Send me the thing.
No, but actually, no, you know what? It couldn't have been email because what Nancy would have said... not Nancy. Penelope would have said, your son was armed with a stick. And then Alan would have responded. And then it would have been one of those... my last email type of thing. And I know Penelope would have been one of those.
Oh, 100%.
I know.
She has all the opening lines of terrible emails.
For a fact.
She has them on lock.
Yes. She has them ready. But like, I like the story structure of this is just perfect because it's like, it's all about tension rising and alliances shifting, building, and like the characters taking turns, like being on each other. And another thing I like about this, there's no flashbacks.
No.
There's no subplots or other things. It's all about this and this conversation just escalating.
Yeah.
And it's just
also I love how we see the striking in the opening scene from a distance. There's a thing in cinema where they say if you saw something far away, it becomes not as serious. If you're close. If it was like a dramatic scene of the other dude striking the other dude, it wouldn't have been as funny during the discussion of their parents. But because everything was just like, okay, kids, they're playing, they hit each other with sticks, cool. Parents, on the other hand, they acting like there was a terrorist in the neighborhood, and we gotta hide our kids.
Yeah.
Yo, come on, chill.
Bruh. Also the hamster thing.
Nah, fuck that guy for killing the hamster. I'm sorry, I'm siding with Penelope now.
No, the hamster lived.
But his mind, he
didn't know. He did not.
Which is worse.
Yeah. But like, cause that was which is worse. Actually, it is worse. That was like the last time where they were almost gone. They were almost at the elevator, and Nancy was like, "You can't judge our son like that. Look at you. You're a murderer. You killed a hamster."
And the nigga loses it. This thing was annoying. You look like, yo, you guys are irrational about the weirdest things.
And that's when Penelope actually ended up being on Nancy's side. And then at that point, by the way, Alan didn't care. Alan was like, "Oh, we keep coming back again." Yeah. And it's like the guy was like, "Why am I on trial when your son struck our son?" It's like, "No, you killed a hamster."
It's like you can't compare killing a hamster to striking a child, bruh. Those were kids.
Yeah. Oh, I remember the line you wanted the second time. Penelope was like, "I guess Zachary hasn't acquired any accountability."
And I'm like, bro, out of all things he could have said,
and he's like,
he's 10. How old are the kids? 10, 11? Yeah.
11.
I think an 11-year-old boy has accountability skills. Get out of my face.
Accountability? It's like, our son's a maniac. You can talk to him if you want to.
Also, there's also a line where... Sorry, hold on. Where they leaving, bro, Penelope is on edge. He's like, your son has behavioral issues. Bro, this lady throws all the negatives at this guy. All of them. Criminal, get in there. Terrorist, get in there. Your son has behavioral issues. That killed me, bro. Also, one of my favorite lines when Nancy throws herself the blackberry into the tulip vase, and Ellen freaks out, and Ellen goes, "You should be put in a home, dear." Whoa, that should kill me, bro. That should kill me.
Put in a home.
Bro, that should kill me. Oh,
mind you, that moment, it's like. Alan freaks out, but also Michael's like freaking out with him. It's like, what and why would you do that? And they both like it becomes men versus the women.
The ladies are laughing. The guys are freaking out.
Yeah,
like, yo, my whole life is at this thing. It's like, oh, your whole life is in a cell phone.
Oh, your whole life? And like, how do you open this thing? How do you get the battery out? Get the SIM card out? They're all like freaking out.
Also, shout out to Blackberries though. After being dipped in water, that bitch still ran. The OGs.
Still ran.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I love this film, man. If anyone hasn't seen it, you're wasting your life. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah. You're quite honestly missing out on something if you haven't seen this. And one of my favorite lines, that I think Michael says to Penelope. This is like the most Penelope response ever, because Michael's like, "What happened to your sense of humor?" And then Penelope's like, "I don't have a sense of humor and I don't want one." And I'm like, you know what? Yes.
That's both painful and sad.
Yes. Like, I don't have a sense of humor and I don't want one. I'm like, you know what, Penelope?
You can have that.
Yes. You can keep that. Bro. But like, at the end, you know how this conversation devolves in? It devolves to Nancy being like, they're like, at least our kid is not some wimpy ass, you know, she says thing. And then Penelope's like, well, your son's a fucking snitch. I'm like, really?
How?
This is what the conversation has come back to.
Nobody wants to let go here.
None of them are letting go.
Guys, just let it go.
None of them are letting go.
I wonder. Okay, because they don't give us a full closed ending. What do you think happened afterwards? If you were to have, what do you call them? Fan theories, yes.
I don't think they came back. Because I wouldn't want to come back to that house. I wouldn't want to come back to that house as Nancy.
No. Definitely not come back.
Because at the end, you know at the end, because you started at the park and ended up at the park. At the end, it looked like it was just the two boys. Because we didn't really get to see them a close-up of them. But we saw at the end two boys just talking in the distance. So I'm thinking, like, the kids got back from school and like, no.
Yeah, because the kids don't care. You hit that kid, sure, there's a little beef.
Yeah.
But you offer nigga a slice of cheese and we good.
Quite honestly, yes. Because in my understanding, I'm thinking like at the end of the day, the kids came back and it's like, yeah, no, we cool. And there's like, there's no need for any of this.
The parents, how do you think they finally left the house?
I think after that, because it's like, at this point, they're not going to see eye to eye.
Okay.
I just think at some point someone was like, let's just get
yeah.
Because what else is going to happen? But I don't think there was like any. I think it was all at the point where all parties, like all four of them individually gave up.
Yeah, like fuck it, man.
They're not trying to be polite. They're not trying to be nice. They're not angry. They're not mad. They was just like, just yeah. You know, when you're just giving up all hope of life.
Yeah, because I think they exhausted all their
happened.
Fights and said all the mean things to each other to a point where they were like, there's nothing else to do here, guys. I'm just gonna head out.
Yeah. Let's just go.
Which is
let's just go.
what they should have done in the first place.
Yeah. Wait. Sorry, I'm online trying to find this one line that I really love, but I couldn't find it. What I found instead is apparently a few of Christopher Waltz deadpan deliveries on the phone calls were partly improvised.
Oh, dope. That would make sense.
What is this man?
Damn. See, this is what happens when you have good actors.
I'm like, yes.
What I found hilarious was that the neighbor who opened the door was Polanski. And I was like, huh? That's really? A weird cameo. Yay.
Oh. That is a weird cameo.
Like, we don't need... So, think about it. If they didn't need a lot of extras, he was like, fuck it, I'll do it.
Yeah.
No lines, just looking through and going back.
Yeah. Bro, also, the vomit scene apparently was done in one clean practical take.
Yeah. See, this is what I like about single location films. I feel like there's a lot to play around because there isn't much to do.
Also, it's like one of those things where when you're limited, you can do so much.
Also unrelated, but shouts out to the set design team, because that house, it's an apartment, but it feels right. There's another area of filmmaking that we've never really taken interest in, and it's underrated, but set designing, man, is fire. I'm gonna start paying attention to that now, because the idea...
That set design was incredible.
The idea of putting wood there and family pictures, and oh no, this is the kind of things that they would have: art, tulips, scotch.
Yeah.
I don't know, I like it. It's obviously not extravagant, but it's, gets the job done.
Yeah. Also, this film was filmed in France?
France?
Yeah.
Ah, damn, that's supposed to be New York.
So that just goes back to the set design.
Why?
Because you had to make that apartment look like a New York apartment.
Oh yeah.
And those set designers did their job. Because I think the whole thing was done at the studio in France, and they only had like the exterior shots were like done in New York, but like everything else was done in the studio in France.
Oh, nice. Shout out to the French. Bonjour.
Shout out to the French.
Also, wow, Roman Polanski liked these single location films because there's also another film of his called Venus in Fur.
Okay.
Amazing movie, bruh. And this one only has 2 characters.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. I'm interested in
it's
that one.
French language film. Only has 2 characters. It's a director and this lady who wants to play a part. And then it's all in one location, the theater. And it's just dialogue. At first I was like, this is weird. But as soon as I understood and got into it, it's amazing. If you get a chance, check it out.
No, I'll check it out. I'm into single location stuff.
Yeah. And also, I also want to see more Polanski films.
Yeah. After this, I'm ready to see more.
Yes.
This film is absolutely great. I think it's just, the dynamics just work so well together.
Yeah, and the script.
Yeah. Oh yes. Cannot forget about the script. Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
We need to get more films based on plays.
Yeah, that's an interesting subcategory.
I think we need to get more films based on plays. There's something about good plays or like good playwrights, because if you want to have like a good successful play, that shit has to be good. That shit has to be really good. And I think quite a lot of them are original, original-ish, I'd say. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of the films we've been seeing is either based on a book, and as of late, there's been a lot of this Hollywood thing of like doing things based on movies, not movies, based on video games, or they'll base it off of like cartoons from like the 80s or whatever, and they just start recreating and retelling and doing these things.
Trash.
But I know, because it's like, especially with, we have to like try to find like way of doing it like in a unique way, I guess. But I think there's something with plays, if you because there's already a script with the screenplay. You're just adapting that theatrical script into like a screenplay.
Yeah.
Not to say that there isn't much work to be done there, but like I think it's also important that you get the same people that wrote for theater to then come and adapt it into like the big screen with someone else, because you already know you've got a formula that works, that's great, and you're just adapting that to like a bigger screen to attract a wider audience. And I think that's like a good formula, and I feel like that would be nice to get more films like that.
Absolutely. We should start looking out for those films. Pretty sure there's a lot. Hollywood likes adapting things.
Dude.
Should be called Adaptiwood. Huh?
Yeah, but what are your final thoughts?
Final thoughts? It's not that deep. That's just, hey people, it's not that deep. Just let it go.
Yeah. Honestly, it's not that.
It's not that deep.
Their son didn't mutilate your son. Bruh, come on.
There's no disfigurement that took place.
There's no disfigurement. It's honestly not that deep.
Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. I don't know the rest of the lyrics.
There's more lyrics to that song?
Apparently.
I know.
It's a famous song. Can't be a famous song with one part. Anyway.
Yeah, it's great film.
Fantastic film, people. Shout out to Mr. Polanski. Shout out to the God of Carnage. Don't come for me, God of Carnage.
Yeah.
I'm an innocent boy.
Shout out. Nah, great film. Everybody should like check this out.
Yeah.
I fully endorse. Fully endorse this.
Hips. Goodbye. Goodbye.